Hey everybody, it's Eric from Project Echelon. I just got out of the dentist and I had a cavity filling and my lips are numb, so I hope I can articulate my words, but I wanted to share with you something that happened last night. I was tucking in my daughter, my 5-year-old, and reading her a book. She chose Strawberry Shortcake, Cinderella. And I've read the story before. I've heard the story. I've seen the movies. You know, I've always I know what Cinderella's all about. And this time, something caught my attention about the story. And spoiler alert: I'm going to tell you the story of Cinderella a little bit. So if you've never seen it or read it, you can tune out, read it, and then come back. I don't want to ruin anything for you. But what happens is, you know, Cinderella goes to the ball. She gets back, the prince comes to try to find her and fit the slipper on the right person's foot, and whoever fits gets to marry the prince. And this story, Strawberry Shortcake, would then be the Princess Berry who would take care of the berry patches in all the kingdom. But so what happens is he goes through all the land, and then he comes to the house, and Cinderella gets pushed back into the broom closet or locked in the tower, and he tries on the shoes to the stepsisters. It doesn't fit, and he says, "Is anyone else here? I've tried everyone in the land. Surely there has to be somebody else here." And ultimately Cinderella comes out, and he finds her, and it fits, the shoe fits, and she's the princess. Fantastic. Great story. But what struck me was, what if Cinderella was in the house before the last house? What if she was in the broom closet of the house before the last house? The prince wouldn't have asked at that time if there was anyone else, because I've tried everyone else's foot and tried everyone else in the land. He wouldn't have asked that question because he would have still had one more house to go to. So she had to be in that house. And it made me think about how in life that happens quite often, that if we're not in a certain place and a space in our time, that when the prince comes, or the princess, or whatever comes, if we're not in that house and in the right place, we're gonna miss that. Like, this is not gonna happen for us. And what that looks like for me, you know, was I went through some things in my life, and if my wife would have come into my life when I was one house earlier, when I was in my drug addiction, when I was in my spiral, she wouldn't have taken a second look at me. She would have been out, rightfully so. So when she came into my life, I was on my upswing. I was crawling out of my darkness. So I was in my last house, and I was ready for her to come into my life and for her to help me change my life. Now, what does it look like when we're in that house? When you look at Cinderella, she had a lot of mice and bird friends, and she would talk to them, and I fully believe that we don't have that ability, which would be really cool if we could talk to animals, but we can't. But what she was doing in that was, she was in a crappy situation, terrible situation, but she was talking to animals, and what we do is we have the opportunity to talk to our inner self. We can do some digging and start to understand who we are, understand our emotions, and really do some soul searching. And that becomes our community, is understanding who we are. So when the prince comes, or when the opportunity comes, we've been doing the work and we're ready. We're in the place we're supposed to be, so we can make a difference, so we can find out who we are. So what we do, if we're not in that house, we're not doing the right things, we're not preparing ourselves for what is to come. So it's just a really fascinating concept, that what if Cinderella would have been one house earlier? What if her house wasn't the last stop? The prince would have never known, or never asked the question if there was anyone else in the land. So what we have in life is a similar situation happening. Things happen to us. I don't want to say they happen to us for a reason, but they do happen to us. The bad things that have happened in your past happened. That's a fact. The bad things that have happened to me in my past, they happened. That's a fact. I don't wish them on people. I don't wish terrible things to happen to anybody. But when they do happen, it's a reality. So what do we do with that reality? Do we let that reality consume us and destroy us and cause us to have a bitter heart and to hate, to project hate onto whoever the group of people or person that was that hurt us? Do we create that narrative? Or do we see the opportunity to heal from it, so that we are uniquely equipped to help somebody else who has been handed a similar situation? Everything, we have a choice. We have a choice in this healing journey. So I ask you, if you're choosing to let the trauma of the past consume you. And if you are, you're not a bad person. You don't know that there's another option. And there is. And I'm living proof that there is. And it takes time to have those conversations with yourself. And it takes community and relationships to have those conversations. Just like Cinderella had community of birds and mice in her story. We have community of inner self and talking when we don't have other people. But we also have the opportunity to share when we do have community with other people. Who are your mice and who are your birds? Who is helping you through and not allowing you to stay stuck in your narrative and to not see it for what it is, as a reality that happened in the past and something that if we work through can become incredibly empowering, not because the trauma was good, but because the reality of the trauma is if it happened to you, it's happening to somebody else. And you can be that light that speaks into their situation. You can be uniquely qualified to help them. I mean, a lot of times psychologists haven't gone through trauma, so it's harder for a veteran to listen to them or to relate to them. But when someone has gone through something and they can relate to you, and they're somewhere that you want to be and they can speak some truth into your life, that's a powerful thing. It is for me, and I want to be that for other people, and you can too. When we choose to embrace the trauma, work through it, grieve it, and learn from other people who have been through it, we can then pass that along to somebody else, just like Cinderella did. She was in the right place at the right time. It didn't look like she was, but she was. We get to choose to view that, our situation. We get to choose to focus on what we want to focus. So I ask you in the coming week and in the future to really start to focus on what it is that we can do, how we can search our souls, how we can get to know ourselves, how we can be uncertain about certainty, or vice versa, how we can stop being so certain about uncertain things. Question things. It's okay to question things. That's how we learn and grow. But do it in a safe way. Don't go down the rabbit hole and think it's a Stark thing. It's okay to question. It's how we grow. And if someone has a different opinion than you, don't feel like you are wrong or that you have to be offended or that it's destroying your reality you've created in your head. Usually when you're being offended, it's because you feel a need to be right. Because if you're not right, that somehow means that your reality is ruined. But we exist in our reality. We can choose how we focus on it, and it can empower us or it can cripple us based on the choices that we make. So I ask you again, what do you choose to tell yourself about your current situation? Where are you looking? Are you trying to find someone to blame? And you might have been hurt by somebody, but if you do the inner work and tell yourself what you're going to believe about something and how you're going to work through it, how you're going to grieve it and accept it as a reality and move forward, that is where empowerment comes from. That is how we move forward as a culture. That is how we heal. So I encourage you, do the inner work. Don't do it alone. I'm here. I'll be sharing, engage, ask questions, and we're going to get through it together. That's how we do it. Look for your mice and your birds in your life, and accept the house that you're in might be the house that you need to be for the prince to come, or the princess, you know, whatever. It's metaphor from Strawberry Shortcake and Cinderella. So everywhere you look, there's opportunity to learn. I learned something from Strawberry Shortcake. I didn't think that I could do that. I thought it had to be Einstein or Aristotle or someone great. But you can learn from anything if you're aware of it. Looking at a tree, looking at nature, connecting with it. There's lessons everywhere to be learned. We have to be open to seeing it. Don't let your reality or your perceived reality blind you to what's around you. Open your eyes and find something beautiful today. That's my challenge to you. And that's a start. All right, we'll talk to you later.